In this video, I'm going to review the Bottega Obscura Naples style journal. I'll go over the specs, I will do a paper test, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this notebook coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links to the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, it really helps out my channel. Alright, let's get on with the review. So this is a Bottega Obscura journal. This is specifically called the Naples style journal. I believe they're all one-off, so I don't know if there'll be another one like this. This is the most expensive journal I've ever bought. It costs just under $500, which is really a lot, but the reason that I bought it is I am interested in bookbinding, and this has a lot of true traditional bookbinding techniques. Let's walk through it. Basically, we have a full leather binding here, and there is faux patina. Well, I mean, it's real patina. I don't know how he distresses these, but it is distressed leather. Unlike a Mont Blanc or some of those other horrible Saffiano leather covers, this really smells like leather and feels like real leather because it is that. All of the gold foil debossing is done by hand, so he has, a hand die for each one of these shapes on here, or motifs or whatever, and he's doing that all by hand. So there is quite a lot of handiwork in here. I did have my initials put on here. I can't remember if there was an extra cost to that. Looking at the cover has the Orphic egg symbol on there on the front and the back, and that represents, I believe, the god Phanes. I don't know. You guys tell me I'm saying it wrong, but he's the god of light, a symbol of thought, which is kind of a nice thing for a notebook. And then I have my initials in sort of a Gothic or Old English font on the bottom here. The book block and the end pages are all hand marbled. So he does all the hand marbling for these books. And then you can also see there is debossing, leather debossing. It also carries through to the leather bookmark. Now, if you look at let's see if we can catch it in the light here. You can see these ridges in the paste down here. And unlike most books, these raised cord bands are real. So there is basically a piece of cord in here which is connected to the signatures in the book block and then connects to the cover. I don't believe ever seen another journal that is made in this traditional way. Usually when you see these ridges, they are fake, but that's not the case in this. And again, gold foil debossing here, all stamped by hand, all these individual little motifs. And there's one little hint on the top here of who made this. The artist goes by the name Nicolo. The notebooks, I believe, are made in Korea, but this is somebody that is making notebooks in a very European style. The other thing about this notebook, we have like the tail and the headbands here are of a very high quality. You can just see how thick that headband is, or tailband there, and then the headband is basically the same up top here. This is what's called a tight back binding versus a hollow back binding. So as a example here, this would be a hollow back binding where the book block, the binding lifts off the back of the cover. That is a much cheaper sort of, I think, Victorian era invention, just a much cheaper way of making a book. And the benefit though is that it lays more flat. And that's really where the problem with this being a notebook is. It does not lay flat, period. So you're going to be fighting this the whole way. And I gave up on finishing this notebook, which is why I think if you were to buy from Bottega Obscura, first of all, just be aware that it's not going to lay flat no matter what you do. He does rebindings of books, so if you have a favorite book that you want rebound, you might be able to do that. I know I've seen him sell a lot of like Tolkien books that are rebound, and I think that would be really, really nice. Whereas this is just very, very difficult to deal with. Now, the benefit of this high-end old school binding is like, this is pretty much the most durable type of binding you can have. It is hand stitched. I believe they are 16-page signatures, but it's not going to lay flat. However, it should, in theory, as long as it's taken care of, last pretty much forever, because this is made so fantastically. One other thing I will show, the boards for the covers are really thick. They came to me this way, but this may be intentional. It probably is. You can see they kind of bow a bit in the middle. It doesn't really do anything in terms of writing, because really what you're fighting is the binding, not the uneven boards, because that's really this is what it looks like when you have it open. It's basically like that. So the unevenness of those boards really isn't an issue. Marbled book block looks really, really nice. I did notice, I don't know, this just part of the natural thing here. This doesn't look great, but you know, it shows off the fact that this is for sure real marbling, which, I mean, you could tell without looking too closely. Some of those ones, like paper blanks, have printed book blocks that just don't look as good as the real thing. The paper is a heavy textured woven, very cream yellowy paper. It's very fountain pen friendly, but you know, if you like smooth paper, this for sure isn't it. I believe it's 90 GSM. Italic fountain pens like this Aurora Ypsilon Deluxe, no go on this. You can't get the paper to lay flat enough, and then you also have the additional texture. You're just not going to have a good time. I started writing with this, you know, with italic nibs, because that's what I really like. I was miserable, and then I switched to more just regular round ballpoint nibs, that is, and it's much better, but I'm still not going to finish this. It's just too unpleasant to write on. So looking at the paper performance here, really everything looks good. You can see a little bit of the texture of the paper, and you do have like nice sheen like on this Pelican M600 broad. The whole face of this looks really good. I actually have no real complaints. Maybe the Pilot High-Tech point, which is a bit of a troublemaker, could be an issue. Then going to the back, all of the fountain pens did really well. The only things that actually had issues were the troublemaker pens. So the Sharpie, the permanent marker, the Pilot High-Tech point, the Pilot oil drawing pen, and the Copic sketch. But everything else, no problem. So you can use pretty much any kind of pen you want on there, just don't use an italic. Overall, I would not buy this again. I like it. I think it is a beautiful piece of art. I will gladly keep this on my shelf. But for writing enjoyment, it's not here for me. That tight back binding, while, you know, amazing quality, it's just not comfortable. I'm used to the Paper Mind notebook, like this Tomoe River notebook. This just lays flat. I can write with an italic on here, no problem. Doesn't matter if I'm at the very, very end of the notebook flat. It's going to lay flat. I'm not fussing with anything. It just works, where this just is not comfortable. It's beautiful, but it's uncomfortable. So what are my pros and cons for the Bottega Obscura journal? Well, the biggest pro here is the build quality. This is the best made journal I've ever had, and it is a beautiful piece of craftsmanship, unlike any other journal I've ever had. Handmade, the quality is exceptional. Like, got the tight back binding there, beautiful hand stamped gold foil on this. It's like an art object. I really love the way that it looks, the way that it feels. The paper is also very fountain pen friendly, which is great. Now let's talk about the cons. The biggest con was also a pro, is that tight back binding. It doesn't lay flat. So that's just part of the deal of having that extra durable binding, something that's going to last forever, maybe, if you take care of it. It's just not very comfortable to write in, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish this. The other big con, of course, is the cost. This was close to $500, which is a lot of money for a notebook. There's just no way around it. Availability, the person that makes these is essentially an artist. They release notebooks and books as on their own timeline. They will not do commissions, as far as I can tell. So there's sort of a trickle to the product there. You're not going to be able to get one right away typically. But that's pretty much it. Do you guys have a Bottega Obscura notebook? Do you like them? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.